Narayana is the protector. Nara is the man. Together, they are the twin guides of humanity. Sauti bowed his head to them. He honored Saraswati, the goddess of learning too. She held the power of stories. Sauti knew stories were important. They held the wisdom of ages. Sauti was a storyteller. He carried these stories in his heart. Sauti traveled far and wide. He shared the stories he knew. He wanted others to learn. He wanted them to feel the power of the past. Naimisha forest was ancient. It was filled with the energy of countless prayers. The trees whispered secrets. Sages lived in this forest. They had given up worldly things. Their goal was to understand the truth. Sauti had heard of these sages. He knew they were wise and powerful. Sauti reached the edge of the forest. He felt a sense of peace. He knew this was a special place. He entered with reverence. He bowed low to the sages. He showed respect for their wisdom. The sages welcomed Sauti. They offered him food and water. He ate and drank with gratitude. Then they gathered around him. Their eyes were bright with curiosity. They had heard of Sauti's storytelling. They were eager to listen. They knew stories held great power. Sauti felt honored to be among them. He knew he was in the presence of greatness. He prepared to share his stories. He knew they would be heard with open hearts. "I have traveled far," Sauti began. His voice was gentle but strong. He told them about his pilgrimage. He had walked across India as a young boy. He had visited holy places. He had met holy men. He had listened to their tales. He had heard stories of gods and goddesses. He had heard stories of heroes and villains. He learned about Dharma, the right way to live. These stories stayed with him. They shaped his understanding of the world. Section 5. The Divine Battlefield. Sauti spoke about the Mahabharata. It was a story of a great war. This war was fought on a battlefield called Kurukshetra. This land was sacred. It was here that good fought evil. It was here that destinies were decided. Sauti had walked on this battlefield. He felt its power. He imagined the clash of armies. He imagined the bravery of the warriors. He imagined the sorrow of loss. Section 6. The Echoes of War. Sauti had met people who lived near Kurukshetra. They told him stories of the battle. They told him about the heroes who fought there. They told him about the sacrifices that were made. The Mahabharata was more than just a story. It was a history of their land. It was a lesson in courage and duty. It was a reminder of the importance of choices. Section 7. The Power of Stories. Sauti knew the power of stories. They could teach and inspire. They could warn and guide. They could connect people across time. He wanted to share these stories with everyone. He wanted to keep the memory of the past alive. The sages listened intently. They nodded their heads in understanding. They too knew the importance of stories. They were keepers of wisdom. They preserved knowledge through generations. Section 8. A Tapestry of Wisdom. Sauti's stories were not just entertainment. They were lessons in morality. They explored the complexities of life. They showed the consequences of actions. They talked about love and hate, courage and fear. They were a tapestry of wisdom. Woven together, they revealed the truths of human nature. They offered guidance on how to live a meaningful life. Section 9. Sauti's Offering. Sauti finished speaking. He looked at the sages. Their faces were filled with wonder. They had listened with their hearts. They had understood the depth of his words. "Wise sages, I have many stories to tell. What would you like to hear?" Sauti offered his knowledge freely. He was a vessel of ancient wisdom. Section 10. The Unfolding Narrative. The sages smiled. They were pleased with Sauti's respect. They were eager to learn from him. They would spend many days listening to his tales. They would discuss the meaning of the stories. They would find new layers of understanding. Sauti was content. He was in his element. He was sharing the gift of stories. He was honoring the tradition of his ancestors. He was keeping the flame of knowledge alive.